Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for Teaching with Primary Sources Southern Regions, Digging In with TPS. So this is our webinar for February 2026, and we're really excited to have a chance to highlight a new project that we are funding through the Southern Region during the course of our episode today, as well as, of course, share some great resources and lesson ideas from our team. So for those of you who want to follow along, find the resources and materials that we're talking about, you can do so from our Digging In album on the TPS Teachers Network in the Southern Region. Use either the QR code or the link there, and that will get you to all of the great materials that we reference within this series. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to my colleague, Stacy Graham, who's going to introduce our guest for this month. And again, kind of focus on one of our awesome projects that are being funded through the Southern Region.
Yes, thank you so much, Kira. I am going to just really quickly, I want to share my screen so that I can show everybody the newsletter. And uh, this has a short article about what we're going to be hearing about with our project leader. But I just wanted you to know that there are some links here and some information about it on page 2 of our newsletter. And what we're going to be talking about is the Sources Conference, which is put on by our dear friend Scott Waring, who is in the, well, I'll just let him tell you about it. But he's at University of Central Florida. He's been involved and a part of the TPS Consortium for many years. So his participation, however, in the TPS Southern Region, of course, is just within this past year. And so we're going to be talking about that. I'm going to stop sharing so that we can see Scott. And so I want to start off by asking you a basic question, and then we can just take it from there. And that is, how did you find out about the Southern Region? And yeah, what did you do to kind of start forming those connections?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, thanks for having me here today. And thanks for doing all the great work you do to fund projects like mine, or else I wouldn't be here today. So thank you. So yeah, as you noted, I've been a part of the consortium, the Teaching with Primary Sources Consortium, for quite some time, actually since 2009. So I feel like I have gotten to know a lot of great people and made those connections and everything that you hope to come from a project like this. So I have known a lot about Middle Tennessee State University and the projects, and Kira met her shortly after I became a member, and then Van as well. So I was continually seeing and hearing about all the amazing work coming out of Middle Tennessee State University. So yes, I've known a lot about the project, and then knew about the transition to the Southern region as it was happening, kind of in real time. I was aware of a lot of what was going on. And I just knew naturally my project was ending, the funding directly from the library was ending. And so I had hoped that it would work out that the Southern region would be able to continue to support my efforts. So luckily, it's all worked out quite nicely.
That's right, because we were, as a TPS MTSU, we were a member of the consortium along with you, and we were kind of going through a lot of that same experience, and then all the transition that happened. I'm really glad that we are able to, kind of get to the other side and still be working together. So tell us about the project that we are funding through the Southern region and what the goals of this project are.
Yeah, so anybody who knows me knows that I love teachers, and anything I can do to support them out there while they're doing the amazing work that they do, I'm more than happy to do. So that really was my ultimate goal, was to support teachers in their efforts, especially around teaching with primary sources. So I have been hosting, as part of my original project, I decided to develop and host a conference at the University of Central Florida each January. So typically it's the third or fourth Saturday of the year, just dependent upon classroom reservations and what I can get at the university, because we are a fairly large university. So for those of you who don't know much about UCF, yeah, we have over 73,000 students. So it can
That's
be a little
incredible.
hectic. Yeah. And at times it's a little difficult to get room reservations. So I'm a little bit at the mercy of those who schedule the classes and the room assignments. But typically it'll be the third or fourth Saturday in January. And it just became a huge passion of mine because I started seeing more and more educators showing up on a random Saturday, giving up their free time to spend time with others who love the idea of teaching with primary sources. So it's just become just a complete passion and really a desire of mine to continue to host this conference. So that was really my impetus for applying for a regional grant was that I have this amazing idea that has been successful. I've hosted it for 9 times prior to requesting continued funding from the Southern Region. So this was my 10th annual, just a couple weeks.
Wow.
So yeah,
Happy anniversary.
yeah, thank you. I never imagined when I first put it together that it would become so successful and it would continue year after year. So it is a dream come true, to be honest.
Well, and so for those of you who may be wondering why the Southern Region wasn't attending, we were supposed to go. I was all set, but something you don't have to consider when you're planning things in Florida is the weather. And of course, the ice storm Fern made it such that it was going to be quite obvious that even if I could fly back to Nashville after the conference, I would never be able to get home from Nashville, and which actually turned out to be an accurate prediction.
Yeah.
Nashville got iced even worse than my hometown of Murfreesboro, and I would never have been able to make it out of the airport. And yeah, so it's really unfortunate. I yeah. Next year, fingers crossed,
Yes.
and only an act of God like that will keep us from coming and attending, because I looked at the program and I was so flattered to be a part of a program that had so many other wonderful looking presentations on it. And I know in the newsletter I mentioned that the our partners at Warner University, who are also funded through a Southern Region project, were going to be there, as well as some other TPS Consortium members, and I was looking forward to seeing them, as well as a lot of the other presentations that were there. Just so It's the kind of thing where I understand why the 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 self-selecting teachers who really have that passion would just get so much out of it. And I love that it's a 1 day conference. It's on a Saturday. And so you designed it so that teachers could be there and not have to get substitutes or, permission from their administrators, although I don't see why their administrators wouldn't support their attendance at such a thing. Um, so tell us a bit more about how that conference went, what some of the maybe themes were, and what your response was. I know that you've been getting in some response from participants and presenters and teachers. And so tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so get all kinds of individuals who come to the conference and present. So we do have a lot of TPS Consortium members who are represented and come to see us. I have had several of the consortium members kick the day off with a keynote. So this year, one of the consortium members, Tina Ellsworth, who's the current president of the National Council for the Social Studies, was actually the keynote speaker, just to kind of kick us off on the right foot. And so she did an amazing job. It was really almost standing room only for the opening session, and it just brought a lot of energy. She brings that enthusiasm and passion for education and for supporting teachers and that whole feeling that I want to start the day off. So it started off on the right foot. I always try to treat people pretty well. So that is also part of the support is I do have some little refreshments in the morning and like to treat people like professionals. So we do try our best to make sure that people are welcomed and feel like a professional all day long. So that was the way we kicked off the day, and then we had concurrent sessions throughout the day at every hour block. So typically 7 or 8 presenters at every hour block. So that gave the participants a lot of different options to choose. Yeah, just all kinds of amazing presentations. And it's interesting you said about weather. So there were a couple who did get delayed, and we actually had one individual who had to stay all the way through Wednesday, even though the conference was on the Saturday. So
That would have
that
been
is,
me.
yeah. So it does cause a little bit of issues that January for others, but typically it is the nicest time of the year to be in Central Florida at the end of January. So we do get concerns around hurricane season and not scheduling things around that time of the year. But
Right.
typically we're pretty good there. So had
Ah, yeah.
amazing presenters. I get all kinds of emails from a lot of the participants just with interest in certificates of participation that they can share with their districts to let them know the good work that they're doing and being involved. Then requests for presentations. So even if you did not attend the conference, if you go to sourcesconference.com, there actually is a link on the right-hand side for programs. And what I try to do is make there available on the website a listing of the agenda, the program itself, and then next to the names, I try to post any presentations, resources, anything that might be helpful for anybody who did attend those sessions, or even for those individuals who couldn't have attended, but wow, it sounds like, yeah. So if you go to the right menu item program,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll see there, so you've got Tina's there, and you see next to her title, you see the word presentation in that kind of bluish green. And so it would take you right to wherever her presentation is hosted. Most of the presenters have their own places where they put them in a Google Drive or something. And if they sent me a PDF, then I just uploaded them there. So you'll
That's
see a lot of,
fantastic.
I'm sorry?
That is fantastic that people can go to your website and just see everything that was a part of the conference.
Well, that's part of the goal too, is that if you're there in a session, you know you'll be able to get access to those resources later. And then if you're unable to make it and you're thinking, wow, that sounds like some amazing content, it is. And so then you can go and get some of those resources right on the website.
That's incredible. Thank you.
Yeah, so still hoping some of the other presenters send them in as you see that not every single slot has them. I will send out another request here shortly. And so it will hopefully continue to be populated with all of those presentations.
Okay, fantastic. And was there anything else on while I'm at the website, like if people wanted to participate next year, is there information about that yet? Do you have dates?
I am waiting for firm confirmation before I put it, or I guess not even firm. I usually don't really get firm confirmation until January, to be honest. So I'm going to
Oh,
get
right.
kind of a loose confirmation and then I'll put it officially on the website. So it'll most likely be the third or fourth Saturday of
Third or
January,
fourth Saturday.
2027. Yeah. And
All
so I
right.
will update that probably in the next couple of weeks.
Mhm.
They typically don't like to start giving out or confirming rooms until at least March, and that's even a loose confirmation. So I typically just go with the weekend and hope for the best. So that's what I'll do again for the 11th annual. But yeah, if you want to go there and people can peruse, as I said, that program link, you'll see
Yeah.
this year's. But if you go all the way to the bottom, you'll see every single program from the entire history. So
Oh,
there are PDFs linked to all the previous programs as well.
oh,
So
that's great.
yeah, so you can see what kind of presentations have been done there. So if you'd like to attend or you're thinking about presenting, then you'll have a sense of what kind of things have been presented in the past, and then what you might want to put together for your session or for just coming and attending and seeing us.
Wow, that's just really great that it's also easily accessible. I really appreciate your sharing all of that with us. And
Yeah,
and I
and
totally understand about the dates and having to coordinate. Um,
yeah,
it's
it can be tough.
but you've narrowed it down to two different days out of all of next year, so I think that we can block that out on our calendars.
Yeah, that's the goal. And I'm also hoping that since I continue to do that year after year, that others are aware and cognizant of not trying to plan their event on the same weekend and it doesn't become a conflict. So that's why I'm trying to be consistent as well. So that at UCF I continue to get those spaces. But
Yeah.
I would say in 2 weeks from now, approximately, I should have some sense. I'll get that updated, and then at the very top of the page, at the menu links, you will see that there is a link for for proposals. So if you think you'd like to submit a proposal, and you can click on it now, I just haven't updated as you see there. But I typically open it up and give it to the end of September, so September 30th, and so that I can have the committee review the proposals and hopefully get responses. I try to aim for mid-October. If you've submitted a proposal, that I'll give you some kind of confirmation whether it's been accepted, or unfortunately if we're unable to include that session in that year, in this coming year's conference. Um, but I am always thankful for all the people who do submit, the people who present. They are the ones who allow this to actually happen. So I'm thrilled when I see all these amazing proposals come across my desk. So I am always thankful.
Absolutely. So another maybe final or maybe not question for you is what kind of advice would you have for people who might be interested in applying for a TPS Southern Region grant?
That's a great question. I think, I mean, probably everybody who's listening has some kind of idea, and you wonder in your mind, is it worthy or not? And I always argue that you have worthy ideas. Every teacher I talk to, they have something that's worthy of thinking about producing something from, whether it be a publication or a grant proposal or something of that nature. But I think one of the best things to do is talk to people who have been successful with funding opportunities, especially those who are being funded currently through the Southern region, or if you know people who are in other regions who have been funded. I think talking to those individuals is always really beneficial and get you thinking about, well, what kind of things are possible, and maybe just kind of a elevator speech opportunity to talk to somebody else and think through your thoughts and ideas. That always feels like one of the best things to me. One of the most important things that I always talk about to anybody who reaches out to me, and then also my doc students who are thinking about grant funding, is always remember the agency or the individuals who are the funders. You may have great ideas, but also please always keep in mind what the funding agency is really looking for.
Yeah.
So remind yourself it is, coming from the Library of Congress. So that is something that is important and key. I've had some colleagues who have mentioned great ideas, and they may be phenomenal, but they may not be utilizing any of the library's resources. So that's one of the key things too, is to keep in mind that it is library funding, and we're trying to be good stewards of the taxpayer dollars. So it does have to include something related to the Library of Congress.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And it's usually not hard for people to find something at the Library
No.
of Congress that they can incorporate into just about any project idea. And
Yes.
of course, we are here to give advice on that since you and I have been using Library of Congress primary sources for, 16 years now. So, yeah.
Yeah, so please reach out to me. Anybody listening today, or you have colleagues or friends, please reach out to me, whether it be for this project or anything else that I can do to be of service. I do love hearing from educators out in the field.
And remember, you can find his email address at the sourcesconference.com website.
Yes.
And I believe we also linked to it from our newsletter. And I want to give Scott some props here because I didn't properly introduce him. He's not just somebody who's working on the conference. He's also a professor and coordinator of social science education at University of Central Florida, where he's also associate director for internationalization and research for the School of Teacher Education. And of course, he's been director of the TPS program at UCF, editor of Social Studies and the Young Learner, and editor of Teaching with Primary Sources Consortium Journal, which we've been a part of in the past as well. So that's a whole lot on your plate. And yet you still want to put on this wonderful conference yearly to help create a space in which teachers can really share these really awesome ideas about not just primary sources, but really trends in learning that are really reaching students now in ways that can engage them better and also engage the teachers better too, because this is for them and we can't do what we do.
So
Absolutely.
I want to put Scott on the spot for just a second.
Sure.
So with the consortium journal, are we going to be seeing a new issue soon? I've
Yes,
heard
it's
some
actually,
whispers.
yeah, it's in the production stage, so I can't make any promises as to an exact date, but I think you'll be really excited to see that. And it does really focus in on rural educators and those who work in rural spaces, but everything is applicable to urban educators as well. So you'll find ways to be able to think about how this works in your space as well. So hopefully fairly soon. So yes, you're right, Kara.
What, you don't have anything else to do?
Yeah, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's fantastic.
Yeah, and one other plug, if I may make, because it's part of my project, I forgot to mention, is the webinars. So we did have one with Tina Ellsworth in the fall, and I will be having one upcoming with Heather Nice from the Colonial Williamsburg Foundation, and she is phenomenal. If you don't know who she is, then please tune in. You'll see. I'm sure you guys are posting it through the newsletter here shortly, and we'll get some posts out there. Or if you just want to email to me directly for those opportunities, you can do that. And then later, probably April, we're still working out the date, but I'm going to have a Dr. Alexander Butler from Bowling Green State University, who is also a lover of teaching with primary sources and supporting educators. So our kind of people. So both presentations, the two webinars I have this spring, I think everybody would really benefit from and really should try to attend if you can. At this point in time, there have been some questions about whether we are able to record and post as a faculty member at UCF. So I am working on making sure we can have recordings available, but
Okay.
currently I have been informed that I should not do that. So if you're wondering, will there be a recording available? If I can figure out a way to do it, yes, but as of today, probably not.
Yes, that can be a tricky issue that might be out of your control. We understand that.
Yeah.
So can you remind us what those dates and times are for joining in?
Yeah, you're gonna have to give me just one moment to pull up a
Yeah, and
calendar because I am
while Scott's
never.
pulling that up, there is a post in the TPS Southern Region group. So for those of you who have access to that,
On the network?
with information and the link to sign up for the upcoming one that's coming up in February. And I have to double check, but I think I posted it's also on our TPS Facebook page as well.
Yeah, perfect. So Heather is this month, so it's February 25th at 5 p.m.
Is that
And then
Eastern time?
it is Eastern. Thank you for mentioning that. So yes, absolutely in Eastern time. And Alex Butler, as I said, still is tentative, but I hope we get that finalized the next week or two as well. So
Cool.
then you should look through for it in the in newsletter and in email blasts as well.
All right. Yep. We'll be sure to put that in our March newsletter. And again, look for announcements in the TPS Teachers Network under the Southern Region group, as well as on our Facebook page. We're very grateful that we have two graduate students who help us out with the social media aspects of our Southern Region. And one of those is here with us today, and you'll get to hear from her in a little bit about her lesson idea. Um, she was inspired by all the good work that the teachers are doing at the Sources Conference and other places. So that's how she got her idea for her lesson. But we are going to look at some of the new materials that we have created for the Southern Region's professional development offerings. And so, yeah, were there any other questions, Kira or Ashley, that we had for Dr. Waring? We really appreciate your time again, and just thank you for all of your work.
Yeah, and it's a mutual feeling. I thank you all for the work you're doing. As I said, I wouldn't have my project today if it weren't for you, and then all these other great educators who are doing the work that they're doing and that you support. I appreciate you guys too.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
thank you. And for our folks in Tennessee, of course, Dr. Waring will be joining us for the Tennessee Council for History Education Conference in November in Knoxville. So we'll have more information about that coming as well.
Definitely, I look forward to that as well.
Fantastic. Great. Okay, well, I'm going to share this screen and go back to the newsletter so that I can talk a little bit more about the professional development modules that we have been working on just to have through our Southern Region website. We have been creating these how-to webinars for quite a while. We have 12 of them available through our YouTube channel, and we are working on creating a unit that goes with each one of those that will build it out a bit more so that instead of just watching a video that helps you kind of hone a skill set or learn more about an aspect of working with the Library of Congress website. We're creating units that are designed for maybe 1 hour of your time to get professional development credit, but also to start using what you learn in the video immediately in an activity that you can then possibly implement in your classroom right away, or in your museum space, or whatever kind of educational setting that you might be in. And so these are designed to be useful. And we're working on the formatting still a little bit, and it's a little bit not quite as streamlined as we'd like it to be yet, but that's because we have such a small staff and we don't have a whole lot of technological capacity at the moment. But Dr. Layla Smallwood-Gabriele has done a really great job starting us off. She was working in Canva, and then we put all of these things in a Padlet page. And so she got all this in place before she left on her maternity leave. So that's why she's not with us today. She'll be back in a little while. But so we do have a Padlet page, but this is why I say here that we're still calling this a beta version, because it's still a little strange why we're kind of going back and forth between platforms, but we don't have any fancy kind of programs that allow for anything more streamlined at the moment. But so these are the columns that you'll see when you go to the Padlet page, and I'll go there in just a second. And so this just kind of nicely well organized, kind of simple. And then everything that you need for that particular professional development module will be in one column in the Padlet. And there are only a few things in each column. And so we will go ahead, and you can get to the Padlet straight from this link, but I also want to show you how you can get to it through our professional development webpage at the library. So you are seeing our professional development webpage now, right? Thumbs up, Ashley? Yes, great. So this is where we have a link to our YouTube channel in general, as well as the playlist on our YouTube channel for all of those how-to webinars. And there are 12 of those currently, and we are going to work on another series of 6 to add in the coming weeks. And also we link to Library of Congress professional development modules from here too, as well as for all the Tennessee folks out there, the Discover Tennessee History resources. So here's the link to the Padlet page where we say our newest professional development offering. So I'm going to go to it. And so here you see all the columns. And the first one is just webinar basics. So this is just kind of explaining what you will be doing. And then it has our email addresses. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions, just go ahead and email us. We are always open to that. You may not hear back if you email Layla, though, because like I said, she's on maternity leave. So just email me. But for example, here's the first one is how to make an album in the TPS Teachers Network, which is like a primary source set that you make within the network. It can be private, it can be publicly posted, it can be crowdsourced, it can be the kind of thing where you start it and then your teacher colleagues, people in your professional learning group add on to it, or you could even invite your students to add on to it. Especially if they're within teacher learning courses, if they're pre-service teachers. So here you just click on this to get to the Canva slides. Each one of these has a very short PowerPoint that goes along with it, except I'm sorry, it's not PowerPoint. It's Canva presentation. And I know that those are two different things proprietarily. So basically, it just goes through the first 2 slides are going to be the same for all of them. And then, you know, it's kind of like some questions to ask you at the beginning. And then we have, yes, one more platform in which we drive you to a Google form because that's where you're going to put your thoughts in. And then, so there's a Google form that goes with these, and then you just kind of fill it out as you go along. And this kind of tells you in what order to go. And so here you can just actually watch the video straight on the Canva. Oh, excuse me. It's all me in my living room at home. Sorry. And then, the Google link, the Google form. And then you can check out the ones that have already been created and make comments on those. And then you fill out more pages of the Google form. And then there's a post video activity. And this, of course, is creating your own album. And then, so it gives you all of the instructions that you would need to do that. And then, of course, there's also a link to the video in the column on the Padlet and a link to that Google form. And then if it's the kind of activity where we want you to drop your homework into the inbox, there'll be a link for you to do that on this. So, and many of them have that kind of, file upload, link drop activity. And if these are ever, if you have any kind of technical problems with doing these, then just email us and we'll get it figured out. So it's as simple as we could make it at the moment, while also being substantive, just to help you practice, just start practicing. Because sometimes you watch a how-to video and you're like, oh yeah, I can do that. And then 2 weeks later, you try to do it and you've already forgotten. But this way, it's like, okay, I can do that. They're making me do that right now. All you have to do is spend like an hour at most. And then you're like, okay, actually, I will remember that so much better the next time I want to do this, or I can explain this to my students so much better. Yeah, so that's kind of what we have. And again, if you have any feedback and suggestions, go ahead. But if your feedback is, buy this expensive software program, we're going to have to run that through a whole bunch of budget considerations first, as well as manpower. So again, we like to do things simple and in-house. That way we have a bit more creative control. And we just feel like, it's more important to learn the content than to necessarily have the best software in which to do it. So it's not glitzy. We are not glitzy here, but it's meant to be useful and it's meant to be substantive. And so we'll be creating more of those in the weeks to come. And so
Stacy, don't you have a list of like potential topics for future videos
uh
somewhere?
yes, that link was on the professional development webpage until a couple of days ago, when I took it off because I want to update that Google form, because some of the ones that were on that choices list I have already done. And so I need to take off the ones that I've already done because I did what you voted for, and I need to add some new choices. But I already have an idea for what the next, I already have the list for what the next 6 videos are going to be. And after that, I'm going to be crowdsourcing ideas. So everyone is always welcome to email me and tell me what kind of how-to videos you want to see, because otherwise, I'm guessing, based on our experiences working directly with teachers and museum educators over the past 16, 17 years, which is not nothing, but what people need now may not be the same thing. And so always want your ideas. And in fact, a lot of the videos that I've already done are based on anecdotal conversations I've had with people. And they're all supposed to be like, 15 minutes long. The only one that's 19 minutes is the one that's about reading old manuscripts, because I really nerded out. So I'm not even sorry about that one. But but they're all supposed to be kind of short. So if you really just want to watch 15-minute videos and get a lot of tips for using the Library of Congress primary sources and also strategies for analyzing these things in the classroom to promote critical thinking skills, because it's always that two-pronged approach. Then yeah, check out our YouTube channel. So yeah, we will then, I'm gonna go back to the newsletter one more time. Here we are. So on page 3, we have our lesson idea of the month, primary sources, and Civil War memory. And so I think this has got a lot of lovely stuff in it. And so I am actually going to turn things over to our graduate research assistant, Ashley Townsend, to present on that lesson idea.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ashley. I am the History Day GRA, but also work with TPS. And let me share my screen here. Here we go. Also, before I start, I just want to say that the new, is it PDWs? Is that, no, that's
I
the
mean,
resources that you were just talking about that my mind just blanked on.
oh, you mean the
Um,
PD modules?
Yes, the PD modules
Yes.
are amazing. I was one of the ones who tried them out whenever Dr. Smallwood was working on them, and I found them really helpful.
Well, good. Thank you, Ashley. It's always good to have feedback, even if it's in-house.
It was very helpful. So one of the reasons I chose Civil War memory was because I was inspired. I'm gonna flip a few slides real quick. By a collection called Collecting Memories, Treasures from the Library of Congress that I'm so sorry. My computer freaked out.
I can see it.
Can you still see my presentation?
No, I can see collecting memories, the page for the collection at the Library of Congress.
Huh.
And now I see a really pretty Google page.
Okay, there we are.
Now I see your presentation. All right, great.
Okay. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Um, so I believe that memory is something that's crucial to history because how we remember affects how we perceive history and how we tell history. So, one thing I would like to do is how do you remember? Just take a moment and think about how you remember your memories, maybe from childhood or from adulthood, but how do you remember? So,
Can I
uh,
say something?
yes, please.
Okay. I remember, of course, through photographs. I've heard that kids remember the photographs of things better than their actual memories of things, or the photographs help form their memories and vice versa. So that's one. But the other one I would say is food. Like there's certain foods that remind me of my mom or my grandmother. And yeah,
That's so sweet. I love that. Oh my goodness. So, um, food, we remember through pictures, through stories. My family is a big storytelling family. We'll all get together and tell stories of things that have happened in the past. I personally keep a bunch of trinkets of things. I think that's the historian in me. Um, and then music, of course, helps our brains remember events and emotions. Um, and then just how and why we remember events and people change over time. So, through memory, we can emphasize the humanity and large-scale events. So, using memory as a learning tool for classrooms inspires students to empathize with people from the past. So, with photographs, um, talking about the Civil War, these were really important because ambrotypes, which was like a precursor to the photograph, it was became popular in like the 1850s, 1860s, and it became cheap. So photographs were more accessible to a wider audience of people. Um, Thus, there are a lot of ambrotypes from the Civil War of soldiers and of soldiers and their families. And these would help the soldier remember their family, or it would help the family remember the soldier. Um, so these are just a really beautiful thing to talk about in classrooms because they're very visual. You can point out a lot of things about them, and you can ask questions like, who were these photos meant for, right? Um, how would they help those people remember their families? How does looking at these photographs today shape the way we remember the Civil War's impact on individuals? So this first photograph I have, it's of a young girl, and the caption says dressed in mourning. And I think this is a great exercise in memory because one, how do we know she's in mourning? Like, what would you point out from that?
Uh, well, I'm guessing her dress is a dark color and you would wear like kind of black or some sort of dark color when you're in mourning, especially females, right?
Mm-hmm. So in this time period, it was still a tradition to wear black or dark colors while mourning the loss of somebody. She's also wearing what I would guess, I'm not an expert in this, but jewelry. There were specific jewelry for mourning. I would think the jewelry that she has on would be mourning jewelry from the pictures that I've seen. Again, not an expert on that. Also, this style of picture was very popular for families who, or especially women and men too, who were in mourning. Often men, though, only had an armband on that was black. They wouldn't wear like full black clothing like the women did. But it was very popular to take a picture with the picture of the deceased one to commemorate their memory and to have that period of mourning documented. So this is another photo from the same collection, and one of the things, there's many things I love about this photo that we can talk about. So this is an African American soldier in uniform with his wife and his daughters. Um, one, th this is a rare occurrence. You don't see a lot of soldiers with full families, let alone an African American family together in a photo. So, there's so many things about this photo that I love, and this is one that we can ask, who carried this around? Was it for the soldier? Was it for the family? how do you think they felt? How did this affect their lives, you know? So this is another one that I really love. Um, it's again from the same collection, but it's a Confederate soldier with a photograph case, and I think this is also a good way to emphasize memory and humanity because also in embryotypes, you may notice um, that this is a black and white photo, but they have painted over it with little, like the buttons are gold, the little photograph case has been highlighted with color. So it's just beautiful because he's holding a case. Like he thought it was so important to be photographed with this photograph case. So I think that's another great point to bring up. Like why was it so important? What did that mean for photographs? What did that mean um for him? And yeah.
And he's in a photograph case too. So I wonder if somebody was holding the companion photograph case that had his picture in it. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of kind of things you can wonder. I'm
If I
sorry,
may jump in
Yeah.
for,
I
oh,
threw off your presentation.
No, you're good. I keep hitting the wrong button.
Okay,
You're fine.
Scott.
yeah, if I could jump in for a second, I wish I could tell you which historian at the Library of Congress was giving us a presentation, but it was of the Lillianquist exhibit, and it was just amazing. I was blown away. And she was talking about how it makes it very difficult for historians to actually identify the individuals in the photographs because the insignia on buttons and things of that nature were painted over. So it was actually the less affluent
Oh
families or
no.
soldiers that they could find out more information because they weren't painted over. So after that session, I actually went on eBay maybe a year or two later and I bought one. So if you're wondering like scale, it's kind of hard to see, but you can see it in this in my hand. I purchased one and it's of an 18-year-old soldier. His name was James Allman. So I have yet to find any information about him. I can't quite get it clear, but he has his cheeks painted and that kind of thing similarly as well. But I always thought they were a lot larger than they are in reality. So this maybe helps those who are watching and never seen one or held one, the scale of them as well.
I love that. Thank you so much. Yeah, they're tiny little things, but they're beautiful. They're very artistic. Thank you for that information. That was so interesting. Um, so another way we remember is through music. So music often helped soldiers remember their lives before the war. They remembered why they were fighting and they remembered what they were coming home to. And the National Park System, I have it linked on the newsletter, has a great article about this. If you guys are interested in it, this is not my specialty, but they explained it so beautifully. So if you want to, go check that out. I have linked, we're gonna listen to it, a song because when thinking about memory, there's so much emotion that goes into music that you can share with your students. What was this? These soldiers that were marching for days on end without food, without water, without toilets, without clothes and shoes. Like, what were they lonely? Were they homesick? Were they like what did they feel when they were singing this song? And I think it brings empathy to the forefront whenever we can listen to music and think of somebody's experience through that music. So I'm going to play a little bit of the song if my computer will cooperate with me.
When Johnny comes marching home, sung by Mr. John Farrell. When Johnny comes marching home again, hurrah, hurrah, wave the hearty welcome then, hurrah, hurrah. The men will cheer and the boys will shout, the ladies they will all turn out, we'll all feel gay when Johnny comes marching home. The old
That's great. I love that one. I know I've heard it a million times, but that's you can see that that's got a heroic kind of cast to it. So they,
It does.
yeah, uplifting for them, missing home, but also very much thinking about going home.
Exactly. You can also ask questions like, what events did you think the soldier saw daily that a song like this would have brought comfort to him? Um, and then last but not least is artifacts. So artifacts are a great way of remembering because it's it can one show the realities of daily life, and it can also show the contrast between cultural memories and personal memories of that time, like what really happened and what we perceive as a culture happened. And then the other thing artifacts do is now we're switching from how we remember to how our memory works to how we remember history, like how we remember larger events today in the present. So this is a collection called Lincoln's Pockets, and there's a ton of information on at the Library of Congress. I have a lot of it linked in the newsletter. That's just wonderful. And this is all of the things that were in Lincoln's pockets the night he was assassinated. So I think Lincoln especially gets um a lot of times dramatized, or he becomes this like mythical figurehead almost in history and culture, which to an extent, like he did a lot of cool things. He was also a man, and I think that this what's in his pockets brings back the reality and just the regular everyday aspect of who he was as a person. So these are some objects I found from the collection. So this over here is one cufflink that he had in his pocket. Just one. This, I don't know why this is blurry, but it's a handkerchief and it says A. Lincoln on it. And then this one over here is actually a weight for a pocket watch. So it should have been attached to something and it wasn't. So we see that there's like a lot of odds and ends that he just kind of had on him for whatever reason. So this is a Confederate $5 bill, which me.
Oh, I believe that Ashley has frozen. Um,
And
okay, Ashley, are you back? Great. You froze a little bit. So tell us what you were going to say about the
oh,
$5 bill.
I'm so sorry. Thank you for letting me know. It says my internet connection is unstable. I don't know why.
Well,
It just
we'll
told
be
me
wrapping
that.
up in a few minutes. You can make it.
Okay. Whew. Okay. So, the Confederate $5 bill, he had just been to, I don't want to get this wrong. It's Richmond, Virginia. Yes? Okay. And he brought this $5 bill back with him. So a lot of people think it was like as a souvenir, because it wouldn't have been worth anything, um, monetarily. And then this other picture is of a pair of glasses that he had in his pocket, and he had fixed up the glasses with a pair of string. So I just loved that because he had two pairs of glasses and he's the president of the United States, and he fixes up his glasses with a twine string, which I love. It's the most human thing. So, as I wrap up, I'm sorry if I've gone over. Um, what we can think about more deeply as an overall picture to this is what artifacts help people today remember their families when they are away? How can these artifacts in museums help us to remember the people who took part in history? And why is it important for us to think about the people who took part in the events we study, like the Civil War?
Those
And that's all I
great,
have.
those are great questions. And yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Ashley. And all those links and more are available through page 3 of our newsletter. And yeah, that was perfect timing. I am going to turn things over to Kira for our final slides, and then we'll wrap it all up.
I thought I had unmuted myself. All right. So thank you, Ashley, and thank you, Dr. Waring, for joining us for this great presentations, great resources. And again, hopefully folks will be able to use some of this with their students and expand the work that they are doing. And again, we will share links and information from this on the album following the Digging In and newsletter album that we have on the network. One other announcement we want to make, we will be doing the first ever TPS Southern Region Conference in Nashville, May 12th and 13th. And so this conference is a chance for us to bring together all of the fabulous people who are doing projects across the Southern region for this funding cycle and have them share some of the work they're doing, some of the resources they've been creating. So it'll be a great time to highlight and celebrate their work. It's a great opportunity to hear and learn more about the TPS Consortium and opportunities through the Southern region, and just a chance to network with people who are engaged with the work of using primary sources in education. There is not a cost to attend. Feel free to reach out to us if you have questions about the event. And so there's a registration link there. And again, we will be sharing information on our Facebook page and on the TPS Southern Region group on the network. So be sure to check that out as well. And if you're interested in getting PD credit for watching today's video, of course, you can do so using the QR code or the link here. We check those forms about once a week and send those certificates out. Usually our graduate assistant right now, Elizabeth Webb, is helping us with that. And so she'll get those out to you as quickly as possible. And lastly, we hope that you will join us next month. We will be posting a new video highlighting, I think our theme next month is using primary sources in an ELA capacity. So we have that to look forward to and highlighting one of our projects who's been doing that in high school classrooms. So be sure to check that out. And again, we'll be posting on the Facebook page and in the TPS Teachers Network. So again, thank you guys so much, and we look forward to seeing you next month.